how to make sourdough for lazy people. I'm just here to tell you there is an easier way. And for all the sourdough purists out there, I'm not claiming to be a pro by any means, just someone who's passionate about eating bread. It all starts with your starter. This is mine, her name is Nancy. If you're keeping your sourdough starter out on the counter, that means that every single day you need to feed it with a combination of flour and water every day to keep it active and going. Okay, when I'm not baking bread, I just leave it in the fridge. Around the time we were moving, I actually had it in there for like a few months and it was totally fine. All you have to do is when you're ready to bake some bread, you take your starter out of the fridge. There might be a little bit of black liquid on top. It's totally fine. Drain that, feed it with a combination of flour and water, and once it's active and growing, ready to go. And then when you're done baking bread, you just put the starter back in the fridge again. Okay, next is actually making your sourdough. All you need for sourdough bread is sourdough starter, flour, it should be unbleached, water, you should probably use filter, especially if you have like chlorine or whatever in your tap water, and salt. That's it. You mix it together. I'll put the ratios that I use in the caption down below if that's helpful. I will say that you really should probably have a food scale. I've tried making sourdough just by like using cups to measure the ingredients and it hasn't turned out very well. Just skip the guesswork and use a scale. It is so much easier and it turns out so much better. Another thing that can really complicate sourdough that a lot of recipes use is like stretching and folding the bread all day long while it like proofs. I never do that. Maybe that means my bread isn't quite as like good as when you do, but honestly, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. And I don't have time to do that and don't care to. Just mix together my ingredients, put it in a bowl and let it sit there for about like 30 minutes after I give it one quick knead. And then I do one stretch and fold. So after it's sat there for like 30 minutes, covered on the counter, I stretch and fold it. If you don't know what that means, it's basically just taking the dough and like folding it over on itself like a few times. I'd say like 5 or 6. And I cover it again and just let it sit on my counter untouched for 8 hours. I usually also put it in my fridge overnight and that gives it like a better structure. I put it in one of these little bowls and that just helps give it a nice shape. And it also just works better with my timeline. My fridge in the morning and then it bakes for about 45 minutes and then you have this beautiful homemade bread and it is so good and honestly so easy. I'm gonna link everything that I use in my bio if you guys wanna look at those things and get started on sourdough. Because if you're a true bread lover like me, trust me, it's worth it.